All right. Hope everyone had a good day today. It is the 5th. It is the Wednesday. I want to look back at ES and the price action going into today. We took a trade on the live session, ended up getting stopped out. Again, want to look back at this trade because this was an A plus setup, so I'm totally fine taking this trade. These are the losses I am totally fine with taking because I know most of the time this setup will work for me, and 90% of the time I know that I'm going to make money from it. So the days that it ends up not working, I have to be patient and not change my strategy, right? I can't second guess my edge. I can't second guess my strategy. I have to just take it into account, right? There's always something to learn. So learning, like the lesson learned from today was we had a very strong trend day on NQ, and NQ basically was just a melting pot the entire day. If we look at a 15-minute time frame, we ended up selling like three, three, 132. We sold off 200 points today on it, NQ, guys. 200 points. So we had a massive move on NQ, and the biggest thing is we couldn't get a bounce. ES looked very, very strong. But we ended up not getting any sort of bounce today on NQ. So that was the hardest thing in recognizing that as what needs to be something that we learned from today as well. So going into today, we had chop at the open. I'm actually just going to replay this starting, and I want to go from the open because we just had chop. So starting at a 1 minute, actually, I want to watch what I actually was looking at going into today. So going into today, I had sell side liquidity here, and I had a low right here, which was actually equal lows that I wanted to see get taken out. We also had a fair value gap down here right now, but I'm focused on us taking this low out here. We took these equal lows out. We're starting to have some, chop. I want to see us start pushing through these highs and taking these highs out. So on a 5-minute time frame, we have kind of internal liquidity swept right here. But again, I still want to see us come down to this low is what I'm watching for. So going back to a 1 minute, we'll start this up. We ended up just chopping most of the morning session. We have these equal lows down here. And we ended up coming up and forming equal highs here. So this is going to be a level that I want to watch going into tomorrow as well, because these equal highs have not yet been taken out. So we have equal highs here. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I want to see this liquidity get swept at the lows, and I want to see a bounce. After we sweep lows and get a bounce, this would be a magnet. I want to see us get towards back at these equal highs. So I get exactly what I wanted. We have internal liquidity being swept right here from this low. And we also have external liquidity being swept from this low. So now I'm like, okay, I'm watching for break of structure. We get more internal liquidity swept, right? We get this low being taken out. And now I'm watching this for a break of structure. We get nice equal highs here, and I want to see big displacement. Boom, we get mad big candles, right? This is what I want to see. This is exactly what I want to see. This is an A plus setup. Liquidity swept internal and external. Break of structure, big displacement, fair value gap, equal highs. This is A plus setup, but yet we got stopped out on it. And that will happen. There will be times where your A plus setups will not work. And that's when you have to recognize that is why proper position sizing is so important. Even if you're super confident on a play, if you're following proper position sizing, you'll always have to you have to have a defensive position in trading. Defense is very important, right? Defense in trading is positioning yourself so you don't get hit hard if you take a loss, right? Accepting the risk you put on the table. So I looked in at a 2 minute, and I actually entered on a 2 minute fair value gap. We went back to this 1 minute, but I entered off the 2 minute because I was expecting us to get some big buying pressure come in. So I entered in around here, targeting these equal highs, and then I put my stop at, I'm not sure what low I put it, but somewhere around here. So good risk to reward. I like the trade. Beautiful setup. I was pretty confident in this trade, but it ended up not working out because NQ ended up having one of the weirdest action days that I've seen between ES and NQ. Normally, we get very similar action between ES and NQ, but today we had a just massive sell-off on NQ without any hesitation whatsoever. So that is something that we want to be careful of. So I ended up getting stopped out on this trade. But again, I'm totally fine taking that loss because that is my perfect bread and butter setup right there. So at this point, At this point, I'm starting because this, keep in mind, this is a very similar trade that we took yesterday that ended up getting stopped out, right? So at this point in time, I'm like, okay, we're most likely going to continue to sell off because yesterday we had a very similar setup in the morning where liquidity was swept. We had break of structure, had a fair value gap. We entered and we just got flushed through. And after that happened, we ended up selling most of the day. So I have that in the back of my mind at this point of the day where I'm like, okay, we had a beautiful setup and just flushed through. I'm expecting that we're pretty weak right now. NQ is selling off. We're most likely going to have room to the downside. So where can we possibly head now? 15-minute. I'm expecting these lows to get taken. These are the equal lows I had over here. So I'm expecting at least this. And then also we have a fair value gap down here. So I'm expecting some of these levels to get taken out. On a 1 minute, no real short setup that I would want to take quite yet. Again, looking back, I want to see if there would have been anything I would take, right? But today I didn't see anything on the live session. Now, this is a very aggressive entry, which is why I wouldn't take this. Very aggressive short entry. Look like it would work out. But most of the time, the thing is, the reason why I wouldn't take this is because this is very, very strong selling pressure. This is a very, very strong trend day. And most of the time, you won't get that strong of movement. That's why I'm not taking that as an aggressive entry right there. Because most of the time, it won't work for you. So when we see days like this, we have to realize that most of the time, this is not going to happen. So we continue to sell off. Again, it would be watching for some kind of break of structure. Still nothing, right? No displacement here. This would be the first setup. This right here, what I would consider to be a possible long entry. Looking back, a very small little scalp is what it would be. We have internal liquidity being swept. I would take this high as break of structure. We get a nice candle. We're continuing to hold this fair value gap, and we have a clear high, as well as these equal highs here. This is not a bad long. Now, it's not the best, but if you want to go for a little scalp, sure. You get a nice little decent setup here. Stop below the next wick. Nice 3 risk to reward ratio, right? Let's see how this would play out. Boom. That would have been really nice as a little scalp. Didn't see that in the live. I don't even know if we were still live at this point of the day, but that would have been possibly a nice little long there. But I wouldn't really trade that because I don't like trading small moves like that. But I might in the future. I actually want to start adapting my trading strategy just a little bit and possibly trying more setups that my edge allows me to take. But I want to build more confidence, like trading little scalps like this throughout our sessions. Because the more I trade with you guys, the more I learn as well. The more you learn, the more we get to see market conditions and more setups start to appear. And I get to learn more about myself and my edge. And I've learned in the past month or so that there's some setups that I'm pretty confident in. I'm just possibly a little bit too afraid to take because I haven't had the consistency with it, right? I haven't built up the confidence with it yet. And that would be one of those setups right there as well, as also like taking little scalps, trend moves, stuff like that. So that's something I want to work on in the future as well. So at this point in time, I would be, if I was in longs there, probably would have gotten stopped at break even. At this point, you have this high getting swept. I want to look at a 15-minute as well. We're in this fair value gap. Also want to draw in this here. This is a 15-minute fair value gap. This actually, I'm going to take that off because on a 15-minute, this would be our next draw on liquidity. Looking at a 1 minute. Again, if I was to do anything right now, again, these are trades that I would not take. But looking back, I would like to see how powerful our strategy is and our systems that we use, right? Like, let's say this could be liquidity swept. Liquidity swept, break of structure, pull back into fair value gap. Let's see how this plays out. Stop would be above here, but keep in mind, I actually don't know if I would trade this because we have equal highs here. One of my rules is I don't like shorting or longing if we have equal highs above or below, because most of the time those are getting hunted. So we'll see what happens here. Looks like we're rejecting the fair value gap. First target would be here, this wick. So that would work out as well. And then rest out, break even. So now would just be watching. At this point, I want to see a bigger time frame. Looks like we have nice displacement here. Have a 3-minute breaker block as well as this big fair value gap. And then this is another trade I ended up taking, not on the live session, but I alerted it. Another great setup. Another good setup that I really liked. Ended up getting stopped out on because it's just NQ is very, very weak. We have a 3-minute breaker block we're holding. We have a 3-minute breaker block we're holding. Big displacement, market structure shift, liquidity swept. We're getting big volume. We're holding this level. I go down to a 1-minute. Big break from the low. Now, I would want to see this slope being taken or some kind of SMT formed. I did not get that. 1-minute fair value gap formed. This does not look like a bad long whatsoever, targeting this high potentially. Ends up coming in, ends up getting flushed through. So something learning from today is when ES and NQ are very different, you need to take into account and have to position yourself accordingly, especially when one or the other is either blasting off, selling off hard. You need to be able to take that into account. So at this point in time, we still haven't taken this low out. So potentially would look for a short setup, have a fair value gap here. Would want to see these equal highs now get taken. Never got taken. We'll see if this comes back to get taken. Most likely should. So now I like this here as well. Internal low taken. Internal low taken. Break of structure. Fair value gap. Targeting equal highs. Another beautiful long here. I would take that. I wasn't on my screens at the time. See how this plays out. Ends up getting stopped. Oh, God damn it. Press space. Let me go back. So today was just very hard because NQ was very, very strong trend. And now I got a lot like people saying like, oh, why are you fighting the trend? Why are you fighting the trend? Because that's what my edge is. And it's not necessarily that I'm fighting the trend, because most of the time this is going to work out for me. This is what my edge is. But when market conditions are not fitting my edge, then that's going to be the time that there's a problem. And then it's exactly what it was today. We had news. We had not favorable price action, and NQ had one of the biggest displacements I've seen ever between ES and NQ. We had a 200-point sell-off on NQ, and on ES, we had a move down and then automatically get bounced up. Look at this massive move on NQ, and we haven't hit 50% retracement. If we draw this in here, 50% is up here. If we draw in from the high on ES, we've hit way past 50% retracement. So NQ was insanely weak today. And that's something that was we needed to take into account and be a little bit cautious of. And I'm glad today actually happened, because this is a very, very valuable lesson for me, especially. I love it, because I have not experienced a lot of the times I haven't experienced a day like this where ES or NQ is very, very different. And I'm sure a lot of the people who join the sessions can agree with me as well. Most of the time, ES and NQ are very similar, and they follow each other in trend sense. They follow each other in a movement sense. So today was an oddball out, and something that might have been a sign to step away or either lower your position size in a sense. And then I don't really think nothing really else that was that good in the end of the day here. Yeah, I don't really like anything here. So I want to take a step back on 1 hour here on ES. So what am I looking at going into tomorrow? Number one, I do want to look at a daily time frame. Number one, high's been taken, liquidity's been taken. Looks like we're having an instant sell-off on a daily time frame after we took buy-side liquidity. If we look at a 4 hour, looks like we've taken, break of structure here. So it looks like we might have room to go down. I'm going to continue to be bearish. I'm going to continue to be bearish on the week or at least going into tomorrow, just because of the price action I've seen the last 2 days, right? We've been very weak. If we look at this, like this chart here, we have a lot of room. Like it might not seem like we've had 2 back-to-back days of insane sell-off, but if we look at a chart, look at this move. Like we have room to at least go to here. So if we draw in a retracement too, from the low to the high, 50% retracement lines perfectly up with this sell side level. And I'll show you what the sell side level is here. If I go to a 5-minute, there's equal lows right here that I've drawn in. We have 2. We have the equal lows here, and we also have this prominent low here as well that's going to act as sell side liquidity. So going into tomorrow, I am going to be bearish. Now, I would like to see a push for liquidity, though. That's something that I wanted to see today, but we formed equal highs. That is something that also really messed with my bias, is because we came up, never took that high out, but ended up forming equal highs. So I was expecting that to get taken out. So now this is the level I want to watch going into tomorrow, or at least I want to see this get taken out in the after session, maybe too. I want to see us continue to push up and take this level out and then automatically reject back down. I want to see a push up, take these highs out, and then automatically push right back, push back down too. Keep in mind, we have a weekly opening gap here as well. So a pushback to weekly opening gap, a rejection of this level here, and then head back to the lows. That's what I want to see. I want to follow the trend. We've been selling off very, very hard. And I think we still have more room to the downside. Also kind of have this little trend here. Again, I don't really trade trend lines, but it's something that we could draw in as well. But I do want to see this happening. So tomorrow I am bearish, but I want to see these highs get taken. That would be even more confluence for me to be bearish, because I know, right? We want, as traders, and the way that we trade our strategy, we always want to be aware of what is the next draw on liquidity. What is the next draw on liquidity? What do I mean by that? That means we trade liquidity from highs and lows, right? When I say what is the next draw on liquidity, that means what high or low are we most likely going to take out next, right? And most of the time right now, currently, we've taken out all these previous lows. It's hard to tell because this move to the upside has no prominent lows. That's the thing. That's why I think we can just flush down without taking any of these highs out, because there's no low here that's giving us, a proper area for us to take liquidity and then bounce. Right here, this is a nice area because we have equal lows, and also this because this is an actual low that's being put in. Right now, this is just a straight up move. So it's very hard to tell if liquidity has been swept or not. That's why the only thing we can tell is if internal liquidity is swept. So always focusing on what's our next draw on liquidity. And right now, I want to see buy side liquidity being taken now that internal sell side has been taken. So I'd love to see a push up, take out this buy side level, and then start to form bearish structure once we break this level out. So if we're looking in, we have put in a 50% retracement though. So we have put in 50% retracement. We could see a sell off back to the lows. We'll see though. I would like to see these highs getting taken out though tomorrow and then head back lower. Looking at NQ on a 1 hour, keep in mind, we have taken this sell side liquidity out, but also keep in mind, we are forming SMT. Now, I don't really like this SMT because it is very tight. Actually, it's not that tight. This looks this. So we have bullish SMT here. We have an hour. So possibly it could be expecting a bounce tomorrow as well. So do want to be careful as that. 1 hour, we can see ES taking this low out. Once we took sell side, we got a big push back up. I'd like to see us consolidate here and then potentially head towards 50% retracement as well, which is back up in this area. So I want to draw in on NQ this 50% retracement level. And I want to see us head back to this area. Keep in mind, this is also a past order block on a 4 hour. We have this past order block that I wanted to see if we could use as breaker block. I want to see this now act as resistance if we come back up to this level here. We also have a 4 hour fair value gap here as well. So we have bullish SMT. I would like to see us bounce, take out buy side liquidity, sweep the highs, and then form bearish structure back to the downside. It feels like SMTs are created every move last few days. Yeah, NQ and ES have been moving very, very different in the last couple of days. Yeah, ICT concepts work well on for any forex pairs. All right, any questions, guys, about the charts? Any trades today? Anything going into tomorrow? Just in general. Of course. Have a good night, DJ. EDM to start the day. I don't know if people will be okay with that. Not everyone likes listening to EDM at like 7 in the morning. Going long, do you always play off of discounted fair value gaps? No, I do not. How come? Because most of the time I've realized that when trading on like a 1 minute time frame like I trade, if you get a good setup, and especially if volume is volatile, you will not get a discount entry. And we've actually found recently that most of the time, the move will go without you without even retracing to a fair value gap. So that's why I know traders that just strictly trade off of break of structure, right? Once they get a break of structure, that for me, that's not enough confirmation. I like to see fair value gap after a break of structure. That would be my entry. But most of the time, a lot of the time you will not get a discount entry, but sometimes you do. And if it matches up with discount, that's even better. The EDM Monday was rough. SMDs have been crazy. I've been struggling when we form bearish bullish SMD at the same time to get clear direction. Yeah, exactly. We've been forming both at the same time. That's when you just don't do anything. Ariana Grande. Have you ever taken a break from trading? Of course. But most of the time, I don't like taking a break from trading. I know a lot of people are like, take breaks from trading, but I kind of get out of the zone when I take a break. I have to be like fully immersed in the market every single day. I have a random question. If anyone went into a trade with 100,000 contracts of MNQ, would they become a market mover? It's a good question. That's a really good question, actually. I don't even think I can answer that question. I mean, like the common sense answer would be yes, but no at the same time, because I'm not I could not tell you. I'm not sure the side. Like I don't know enough about the actual volume traded every day to tell you how impactful that would be. But I'm guessing it would be pretty fucking impactful. And I'm not even sure you could fucking do that. You can't get 100,000 contracts fucking filled at once. How big should someone's first live account be? I'd say $1,000. $1,000. Stick to trading 1 2 micros. Order fill in the order book would be crazy. How do you know where you want the chart to push? That's what I talk about. I want to see what's the most likely the next draw on liquidity, right? Next draw on liquidity would be either equal lows, equal highs, previous lows, previous highs. Once liquidity is swept after from the lows, we're most likely headed towards buy side, right? So that's the things I want to pay attention to. Any other questions, guys, before we end the session? What's your NQ position size for ES? I've been struggling to find a sweet spot. For me, it's like 15 to 20 micros ES contract. So, well, what's your portfolio size? That's the biggest question. Is it depends on your portfolio size. It's gonna be different for everybody. 50K. So are you fine trading 15 to 20 micros? Is that, or are you comfortable trading that? Do you make your money from trade? No, I don't trade on a funded account. I trade on a personal account on ES. So you trade 15 to 20 micros ES on NQ. I'd recommend, if you're trading 15, I'd probably say like, I'd probably say like 8 to 12 NQ contracts, 8 to 12 NQ contracts. Probably like, I'd say 10. I'd probably say try trading 8 first, and then you can up them to maybe 10 and then maybe 12. You could always try it on a paper account too, and just see how the price moves and stuff. How do you tell where fair value gaps are going to move to? Like what do you, I'm confused on the question. How do you tell where fair value gap? The fair value gaps don't move. The fair value gaps is where I would want to enter a trade. Where they would make the market move. Like, I'm confused. I'm still confused on the question. Where they would make the market move. So a fair value gap is a gap created by a 3 candle formation. So, for example, there's a fair value gap. Let's go to a 1 minute. And we'll go to the trade. Actually, we'll go to like this right here. So there's a gap. There's a gap with this candle, right? It's a 3 candle formation. 1, 2, 3. We go from the previous wick to the next wick, and you can see that this whole gap is created by just the body of this candle. See how we still continue to hold this level. We come down, hold it, come down, hold it. And this is now acts as support. This would be whatever I'm entering off of, but I need other confluence as well. How do they affect the market? They're areas, they're called imbalances. So price likes to rebalance to these areas. What's the difference in time frame? So I like to think of external liquidity as just areas. It doesn't even matter the specific time frame. Most of the time, it's going to be bigger time frames, but it can also be like a 5-minute time frame. For example, if I'm trading like a 1-minute time frame, like if I'm on a 1 minute like this, and let's say I want to like get in a long, right? This would be internal liquidity being swept, right? Internal liquidity being swept. You know, in like break a structure here, fair value gap, right? And then I'm aiming for external liquidity, which would be here, right? But that's not necessarily external liquidity on like a 1 hour, right? That's still technically internal liquidity. So when you say that, it's just area where it's a bigger, area. Most of the time, it's going to be on a bigger time frame though. What are you looking for a trade to become A+? Literally exactly what we saw today. Equal highs created, sell off, liquidity swept, internal liquidity swept, strong break of structure with big displacement, fair value gap created. That's your entry, fair value gap, targeting equal highs. I post all the recordings in the Discord too after. So if the market is in a downtrend and the market pushes to it, would act as resistance? Yeah, that's correct. Like look at this for example, right? So we're in a downtrend, no fair value gaps created, no real fair value gap. We kind of have this one right here, but it's very small. I wouldn't really draw this in. Let's see if there was anything on a 2 minute or a 3 minute. We had a 3 minute fair value gap. So we came back, rejected this. Back down to a 1 minute. Big fair value gap here created. Comes back up, rejects it. No fair value gap, no fair value gap. Fair value gap here. Comes back up, rebalances, rejects it. no fair value gap, no fair value gap, break of structure, fair value gap, long to the buy side, high gets swept, break of structure, fair value gap to rebalance, short setup targeting the low, boom, liquidity swept, equal highs get taken, break of structure, fair value gap. Wouldn't really take this because on a bigger time frame, we have that imbalance pullback. Would want to see this low get taken now if we're getting longs. Low gets taken, no break of structure. Equal highs now created. Want to see this get taken out. Push down, equal lows. Internal liquidity gets taken. Would want to see break of structure. Right here, big displacement. Hasn't taken equal highs out. Pull back to fair value gap. This would be your entry long, targeting equal highs right here. Boom, gets bought up. Next area to hunt would be equal highs right here. Didn't take it out. More equal highs here. So now if we ended up putting a high in here and end up retracing, I want to look at a bigger time frame, see if there's another fair value gap. Dude, I hate when this happens. What did I do? My chart won't fucking, goddamn, I gotta refresh. I don't know why that happens. All right, hold on. Let me go back. So retrace, no fair value gap on a 5 minute, 3 minute, no fair value gap, 2 minute, no fair value gap, 1 minute, no fair value gap, 15 minute, no fair value gap. Oh, actually 15 minute, did this get touched? Oh my God, it did. Literally the tick to a tick. To a literal tick. 15 minute fair value gap. Boom. Comes down to the tick. Entry targeting equal highs up here. How do you know which fair value gap to play off? Because I see a bunch that are formed that aren't touched. It comes with experience. Most of the time, you either can wait for discount entry or you can enter on whatever the break of structure is. I like to trade whatever that I found that the best thing to do is whatever the break of structure is, the fair value gap will be created with that. So like, for example, this would be your break of structure here. You trade the fair value gap that's created by the break of structure, which is this right here. Or for example, like let me see if I can find something else. Like this right here. This would be our break of structure from this high. Equal highs, fair value gap created from the break of structure. That's what I normally do. Break of structure right here, fair value gap created from the candle that broke it. Justin, we just a sweep liquidity and then good displacement in the direction we want. It's a really fast move. We take it off 1 to 3 minutes. Yep. What does overextended mean? Overextended is more of like an opinion thing, I guess you could say. When somebody says something's overextended, it just means that, well, you got to realize the market can do whatever it wants. There's no such thing as, I mean, there is such thing as overextended, but when people say overextended, they think that the market has moved too far in a direction to continue in that direction is what they say. So it's like, let's say that, on NQ, like people probably said on NQ, this is way overextended today because we just sold off 200 points. We got to bounce, right? This is overextended. When we get to here, people are like, it's overextended. And then we end up selling another 100 points off, right? That's when people say it's overextended. Peace out, Justin. See you in bright and early in the morning. Tomorrow's a fresh day. Let's get it. Yes, sir, Brian. I'll see you tomorrow morning, brother. Bullish or bearish tomorrow? I'm bullish in the morning. I want to see highs getting taken, and then I'm bullish the rest of the day. I want to see equal highs here get taken first, and then I want to see a sell-off. But I am bearish for tomorrow most likely. And unless I get something that tells me we want to bounce, then I'm going to be bearish. Justin, you should be one of those people who auction stuff off. I know I talk very fast, bro. I get too into it, dude. See you, Justin. Thank you for all you do. Much love, brother. Last question. So if it breaks the fair value gap, the fair value gap then act as support? Yeah, that's correct. If it breaks break of structure, we'd look for a long entry in the fair value gap, which should act as support. Of course. All right, guys. We'll end the session here. We're live for around an hour. That was fun. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Oh, keep in mind, we have news tomorrow. Unemployment claims at 8:30. This is going to be in the morning. So it's going to be pre-market, something that we want to pay attention to. I want to be very, very patient. We have had a lot of news come out this week, and price action has been very wonky. I want to be very patient going into tomorrow. I want to see, number one, since it's Wednesday, we've seen the last 3 days, right? We had a great Monday, rough Tuesday, rough Wednesday. I'm still green on the week though. So I want it, but learning from Tuesday and Wednesday, I've learned that we've been having very strong trend days. And most of the time, after a big move, what do we get after redistribution? We get some kind of consolidation, potentially a bounce. So that's what I'm possibly expecting, or a continuation. So going into tomorrow, I want to be very patient, want to see ES and NQ. I want to see their price action. And I want to see if something similar happens like we happened today, where they're not aligning. One is very strong compared to the other. That's something that we want to take into account now. All right, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Get some rest, and let's go tomorrow. Peace out, guys.